Welcome. In this session, we are going to learn what is PostgreSQL in Google Cloud. So this is going to be the first session on Postgre in Google Cloud. So here we go. So Postgre is one of the most popular open source relational database, and at this point of time, it stands at number one in terms of the capability it has. Because of this, all the cloud service providers, whether it is AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud, they have provided it a very good place in their repository. So when we are talking about the Postgre in Google Cloud, so it is called as Cloud SQL. So under Cloud SQL, it has its place as PostgreSQL. So if I say what is Postgre in Cloud SQL or what is Postgre in Google Cloud, so we'll say that Google Cloud, it is called as Cloud SQL, which provides a cloud-based alternative to your PostgreSQL, which you install in your local environment in your uh, data center. So if you want to spend lesser time on spending and management of PostgreSQL, then you have to go with the managed instance, which is called as the Cloud SQL in Google Cloud. And because of the very strong and robust infrastructure which Google has, so you can rely on the infrastructure. And due to this, it comes in two variety for the PostgreSQL. One is infrastructure as a service. That means you can deploy PostgreSQL on a virtual machine in Google Cloud. Second, Google Cloud provides you the managed instance of PostgreSQL. So in short, Google offers you two options. One is uh, you deploy the PostgreSQL in the virtual machine as infrastructure as a service, or you have a pre-configured PostgreSQL instance, so which is running on a virtual machine that is called as the managed instance, wherein you will not have the access to the operating system. So these are the two options which are available in Google Cloud. So the next thing is, what does Cloud SQL for PostgreSQL offers? So in short, this is your PaaS or platform as a service. Though you have a pre-configured, pre-installed PostgreSQL instance available when you spin up an instance in Google Cloud, which is called as the Cloud SQL. So you don't have to bother about the backups. They just on the click, if you say I wanted to configure the backup, enable it for so many days, so that feature will be available. You don't need to bother about the high availability and the failover. Let's say you wanted to have multiple instances running in multiple regions. And in case one of the instance in a particular region is down, you wanted to have the availability in another region. So you have the failover capability inbuilt available. Your data will be encrypted in the form, which is data at the rest, data at the transition. You have the network connectivity available with the high speed network which Google is having. This is already proven over the years. The storage which is available, you can have the storage in terms of the auto increment. In case your storage is lesser, it will auto increment the storage. You have the flexibility of taking the export and the import of the data. You can configure the replication, which are the inbuilt, the maintenance and the updates, wherein you spend a lot of time, that part will be taken away from you in managed instance. The monitoring is very robust in case of PostgreSQL, and whatever you are doing in the PostgreSQL instance in Google Cloud, which is called as Cloud SQL, those activities will be logged. So you have almost everything whatever you are looking for in PostgreSQL as a managed instance in Google Cloud. So this is something which we have seen in the previous slide as well. So you have when we say the Cloud SQL instance of PostgreSQL, that means it is a managed instance of PostgreSQL in Google Cloud. So back behind the scene, there is a virtual machine which is running on a Google virtual machine. And this is having the PostgreSQL instance or the cluster which is pre-installed the way you work in on-premises environment. And this particular virtual machine when we say as a managed instance, will have these standby virtual machine configured in another zone, and it is going to be identical to your primary instance. Your PostgreSQL instance, it is scalable, it is durable. You have the storage attached, which can be auto incremented according to your requirement. You have an option for the static IP, which is attached to the virtual machine, and using that you can connect to the PostgreSQL instance. So almost all the features which should be available with the guarantee of Google. This is an image from PostgreSQL managed instance. You can see this is a virtual machine wherein you have a persistent disk. Inside the disk, you have the operating system installed. You have the database cluster running, which is PostgreSQL. You have an static IP using that your application is going to talk to the PostgreSQL instance. So this is the basic architecture which you can see in Google Cloud for PostgreSQL, and it's almost the same if you talk about any Google any cloud service provider. What are the database admin tools? So the way you work in your normal environment, same way you can have it for Google Cloud PostgreSQL as well. So if you are working on PG admin, you can continue to use PG admin. You can have the DB word, so you can continue to use that. So database administration tools for PostgreSQL, the way it works in your on-premises environment or other cloud providers, the same way it is going to work in Google Cloud as well. So this is general definition of Cloud SQL. So when we say what is Cloud SQL, so this is a fully managed service that offers you three uh, databases. Two are open source database. One is PostgreSQL. MySQL is also coming up in open source as well as enterprise database, and SQL Server. This is the enterprise database which is offered by Microsoft. So these are the three databases which are available under the umbrella of Cloud SQL. Again, the same thing. What are the advantages of using Cloud SQL? So your time consuming management tasks, they are taken away from you, and you can continue to work on your application development. Whether it is about the managing backups, high availability, replication, failover, or applying the patches, taking care of the operating system, and so and so forth. So everything is being taken care by the cloud service provider, which is Google in our case. It uses the wire protocols so that you can connect from any application from anywhere. What are the PostgreSQL versions available? So this is very important. So the still we see a lot of organizations still use 9.6. That is one of the most stable Postgre which was ever released. But the current version is 14, so you can see we have the variety available 9.6 through 13. So these are the PostgreSQL versions available. When we talk about the minor versions are automatically update as part of the schedule maintenance, and based on your preference, you can modify it. So next important thing is, does Cloud SQL support all database features? So there is a list of features which are available. In general, we say the extensions. If you see the list which is available on Google Cloud for PostgreSQL, you will be able to see what all it supports. So there is always a restriction, like what is available and what is not available. So almost all the features which are available in PostgreSQL generally outside Google Cloud, they will be available over here. Features. The most important feature is this is fully managed, and if we talk about in terms of the restriction, you can go maximum to 624 GB of RAM, 96 CPUs. You cannot go beyond 64 terabyte of storage. So that means there is a restriction when we talk about PostgreSQL as a managed instance in Google Cloud, and that's with all the cloud service provider. right? And it is almost available in all the continents across the globe. When you talk about the security, Google stands at number one in terms of the security. You talk about its internal network, you talk about the data which is available, and almost anything and everything. And as usual, it is going to support your SSL and TLS protocols. The data which is replicated between the multiple zones, they are really secure, and you can perform the failover according to your requirement. You can perform import and export of your PostgreSQL the way you do it on other cloud service provider. Same is available over here as well, and it supports your standard PostgreSQL connectors. You can have the backups automated or on demand. It supports the point in time recovery. You can do the instance cloning in case you wanted to do some testing. It is available, and whatever Google Cloud services are there, you can integrate it with the PostgreSQL. And it supports a wide range of the versions starting from 9.6 through 13. Are there any limits on the storage? Yes, if it is a managed instance, you cannot go beyond 64 terabyte, 96 CPUs, and 624 GB of RAM. How is the PostgreSQL data replicated? So you have two ways. So when you talk about the high availability, you have the managed instance replication from one region to another, which is based on the disk-based replication. So in case there is any problem, the instance failovers to the available instance which is there in another region. You have the flexibility of creating the read replicas in case you wanted your application to be redirected to a PostgreSQL, which is there in the read mode available. You can do that. So those features are available in managed instance in PostgreSQL for Google Cloud. And that's all the basics about the PostgreSQL in Google Cloud. I hope this is going to help, and thank you.